psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about the tipping point that tends to happen mid-transition and share with you what is tipping point, at what time in transition it tends to occur, and why tipping point is so essential to your transitionary path. Tipping point is a point of reaching that kind of height when things suddenly start going down the hill. So imagine when you start transitioning, right? In the beginning, it's, for a lot of you, it can feel very exciting, it can feel very empowering, it can feel as if you're getting your life in control. For the rest of you, it may feel terrifying and a lot of insecurities may come up. Nonetheless, when you start transition, when you start hormones, for example, when you start coming out, when you start expressing yourself more in your gender, what happens is that you start climbing, and it feels often as if you're climbing the wall, right? It feels as if, in a way, it is a hurdle for some of you. And the hurdle especially becomes difficult when you reach a point of plateau that I talk about in one of my other videos, where you suddenly feel that you're on hormones and you experience some mild changes, and suddenly as if everything came to a stop and there's no changes happening. And that plateau can feel as if you are really climbing this climb, and you start wondering whether you're doing the right thing. You start wondering whether you're ever going to get the changes you want to get, and that's usually the most difficult point. So imagine it's almost like a bell curve, and you haven't really climbed all the way to the top of it. You're just about to hit the top of it, top of the mountain, and usually that's the point when you just feel really emotionally and physically exhausted, and part of you wants to give up, and part of you starts again wondering. A lot of the fears come up: am I doing the right thing? Is this really for me? Etc., etc. What's really important is to continue to stay at this point and not to give up, because the next point after that is a tipping point. Tipping point is when you're at the top of the mountain and when suddenly things go downhill. And the reason why things go downhill is not necessarily because things start to get much easier, or because you start suddenly starting to see a lot of changes on hormones, or a lot of changes in other aspects of your life. But the reason why it feels as if it's going downhill and things are suddenly changing is because the tipping point is essential to your internal self. The tipping point, when that happens, part of your paradigm, part of your inner self shifts. And so let me explain what I mean by that. The tipping point is a part in transition when you suddenly are seeing yourself, when you're suddenly seeing not only you, the person inside that you've been imagining or conjuring up all of your life, but you're suddenly also seeing not only full potential, but you're seeing and feeling the realities that I can make this. This is going to happen. I can completely transition. This is going to totally work for me. That's the tipping point. Prior to the tipping point, you haven't yet seen yourself. Even though you started hormones and hormones make you feel much better and alleviate a lot of dysphoria, or maybe you started social transition and you're changing how you express yourself, or maybe you are coming out and using preferred pronouns. It's still very hard to reach that internal integration where you suddenly really see yourself. So it becomes very difficult, because not only are you climbing that mountain, but also because internally you don't really see yourself yet. You envision yourself, but psychologically you haven't made that merger between not only imagining yourself, but finally seeing yourself in the mirror. So the tipping point is a point when you suddenly see yourself. And it could be something minor, and it could be for example, a minor shift. Maybe it is, you notice a different look within yourself in the mirror. Maybe you have noticed something else. Maybe your hair has suddenly started to grow, and suddenly you're seeing that potential. But it's a point in transition when you not only see yourself, but this is happening, and that you can make it. That's why tipping point is so essential. And that's why when I say everything then starts going downhill and starts feeling easier, is because you already have that. In other words, tipping point gives you a hope. Not only does it give you a hope, it's giving you now a full possibility of a potential, which before, even though your mind knows it's there, you yet yourself haven't really experienced it, or haven't yet felt it yet. Tipping point usually happens about 5 to 6 months into transition, and I see this consistently in a lot of my clients, consistently in different age range. And in the beginning, I always tell my clients, just wait, there's going to be tipping point, just wait, just wait. And sure, some little things start to add up, and it could be some little things, some little modifications, or even just suddenly some changes are coming up, and you see yourself. Tipping point is incredibly essential because not only, like I said, it gives you that hope, but it infuses you with a possibility, and as a result, things become progressively much easier. Sure, there's going to be difficult things following the tipping point, but you're much more capable of handling it. You're much more confident in handling that because, again, you finally see yourself. Imagine tipping point analogous to working out. Let's say you want to lose 20 pounds and you start working out. The first week of working out is exciting. You feel like your life is in control. You feel like you're finally starting doing something about yourself and about your health. And then you know what happens. I know for a fact what happens months or two into working out is that suddenly you feel exhausted. You're not really seeing changes. You have hit the plateau. You lost maybe a pound or two, but not the weight you wanted to lose. And you just want to give up. You just don't want to follow up. Everything feels hopeless. Everything feels helpless. And then you hit the tipping point in working out when you're suddenly starting to see the change. You're suddenly starting to see what you're truly capable of. And then from there, things become easier. So tipping point is kind of analogous to that. If you're right now in a part of your transition where you feel like you're just climbing that mountain, I guarantee you the tipping point is going to happen. So just hold on to that climb, but it is going to happen. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have already reached the tipping point and you know exactly how much easier things have snowballed once you reach the tipping point. Another analogy is imagine that everything you're doing right now is you're taking a little snowball and you constantly rolling it, and as you're rolling it, you're making it bigger and you're making it bigger, but you're also climbing it all the way up to the mountain, right? And then once you hit the top peak of the mountain, you're gonna push it down, and then it's gonna snowball by itself because all of the energy you put into it is then it's gonna start to accumulate, and you're gonna start seeing the results. So those of you who again be at the tipping point, you know exactly what it feels. Again, doesn't mean the transition gets easier, but you're so much more better at being able to handle it because again, you're so infused with the shift, this paradigm shift where you're really, really seeing yourself. That's why tipping point is so essential. That's why tipping point is so important in your transition. So if you're watching this, comment below, let me know if you feel like you're climbing that mountain, you can't wait until you hit that ball down the hill. I know it feels very frustrating and very difficult, but tipping point does happen. And for those of you who are watching this, who've been there, who know what I'm talking about, comment below so that others can also see that yes, the tipping point does happen when things are just starting to snowball and snowball and snowball. So hopefully this is helpful. Comment below. I'd love to read your comments, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.